Thumbs up. Great. Today we're joined by Valerie King. Valerie, amazing. I've looked at your LinkedIn profile. Career from 30 years of experience, moving from Hampshire Police to Hampshire Fire Services to now working for a private company. Tell us more about yourself.
Certainly working for Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service was the first thing I did, quite a long time ago, 30 years ago now. And I was told about the job by a colleague who'd gone there, who'd moved there, and said, "This great job's come up. You really need to apply." So I did, and it was quite a challenge because when I got there, she and I were the only female managers in Hampshire Fire and Rescue Service.
Right.
So everybody assumed that we'd only got there because we'd had some nefarious relationship with somebody, but never mind, that wasn't the case. I loved working there. Hampshire Fire and Rescue Services still is a family. It is a family.
Okay.
And I made great friends there. And then in 2002, I was headhunted.
Okay. Headhunted. That's interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So that was quite exciting. I'd seen a job advertised for a recruitment manager for Hampshire Police.
Right.
And the pay was rubbish.
Yeah.
So I'd really quite fancy this job because I love what I'm doing, but I fancy a change.
Right.
But the pay wasn't very good. Anyway, then I had this assignation with a headhunter, which is quite exciting. Nothing like that had ever happened to me before.
Right.
And she told me about the job, and I said, "Well, I'm interested, but I've got to do something about the salary." Anyway, long story short, I ended up working there. The challenge in my first year was enormous. Due to extra government funding, we had 550 officers to recruit.
Okay.
And I moved into managing a team of 20 people, as I'd had about 3 before. Some of them were police officers as well.
Right, okay.
And, I mean, fair enough, the team size grew and shrank and grew again, according to different supply and demand. But it was a very exciting and interesting job. I really loved it.
So recruiting firemen and police officers must be very same contrast, right? I suppose these two type of people have the same.
They're not too dissimilar.
Yeah.
There are similar ethics, similar
morals
principles, and people who very much want to provide a service to the public, people who are interested in teamwork, people who are actually quite caring.
Right, okay.
And that's all important.
Very important.
I think the physical fitness side of it is more important in the fire service than perhaps the police is.
Okay.
And
they're more active in the fire service.
I guess really because you've got to be, it's not just a case of manly strengths or anything like that, it's just that you've got to wear hefty PPE in difficult circumstances when it's very hot, adverse weather, all of those things. So that's why you've got to have good cardiovascular fitness, general overall upper body strength, all those things. So that's a bit of a difference. And I think possibly working in the police is slightly different because much of the time officers are patrolling on their own.
Right.
So yes, teamwork's important, but a lot of the time they're the first person on the scene when something happens, and a member of the public will have no idea if that person's been in the job for 2 weeks or 20 years. They won't know.
That's right.
They're just looking to that person for leadership to help them out.
So during those 30 years, right, plus, have you come across any service leavers?
I have indeed.
Right.
Interestingly, the fire service is very much built upon Royal Navy principles and the rank structure and how things are organised. Basically, because people in the Navy have to learn how to be firefighters, or their ship goes down and they go with it.
Yeah.
So that's a very close link there. And the rank structure, etc., in the police is very much based historically on how the army's run.
Okay, all right.
It's just coincidence.
Oh wow. Is it transition for them then from military to fire services?
There's not a formal progress, but a lot of people do move from, particularly from the Royal Navy, into the fire service, either in the communications team or as firefighters. That does happen, but people come from the army as well.
That's amazing.
Or everything.
Right. Okay.
So lots of that does go on, but it was sort of coincidental, I think, when I was there. And then certainly working in the police, we had a number of service leavers. However, there was a view amongst some HR people that people from the services were a bit dyed in the wool and perhaps a bit narrow, so we needed to broaden our horizons. So my view is you want the best people from all walks of life to come and work in your organisation. I feel very passionately about that. And I also feel very passionately if somebody's prepared to effectively fight and die to defend our country, then they are also very well qualified to come and work for both organisations, civilian capacity.
Okay.
So certainly working in the police, I did actually become quite familiar with the Careers Transition Partnership, which works
CTP.
with
That's
CTP.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
And got Hampshire Police going along to recruitment fairs, the annual fairs.
How interesting. Okay. And now you do pretty much recruiting and HR. That's what you do now, right?
Not so much the HR bits actually, although my job title is HR business partner. So I'm essentially a single point of contact for all recruitment going into Vector Aerospace, which is part of a massive American multinational company. And I'm really enjoying it.
Right.
It's interesting, and the best bit has been recruiting a huge team of firefighters.
Okay, tell us more about that. Yeah,
so that's been good fun. So there is because of Vector, we have huge numbers of military aircraft coming in and private sector aircraft coming in.
Right.
For
refueling or repairs and things like that?
It's primarily for repairs, overhaul and maintenance, that kind of thing.
Right.
But occasionally aircraft will come in for refueling as well, something I didn't know until I was at the fire station the other day.
Right.
That aircraft will sometimes, particularly military, will make a pit stop to come in and get fuel and go somewhere else. The fire crews therefore have to be on standby. Their response times are only 2 minutes.
Okay.
So they can't take their fire kit off. They're always in their fire leggings and a t-shirt or something, because they've got to be able to get to the helipads straight away.
For a whole day? You're doing the
They would be like that all day, yes.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
in the downtime when perhaps they're doing fitness, or perhaps if they are... Actually, to be fair, I needed first aid the other day at work, and the fire crew...
And they were ready for you within 2 minutes?
They were there in less than 2 minutes, actually, yes, so, which was brilliant.
Right, that's a good test, and they were really on alert for yourself. So what have you learned over these 30 years of recruiting people, training people from the fire services to Hampshire Police, and now with where you are right now?
I learned, I think...
well, how is this space changing? Recruiting...
The space is changing. I think there's a number of things going on, particularly with what's going on. You know, there's external factors all the time. So at the moment we've got Brexit. Brexit, certainly in aerospace,
the big B world, right?
The big B world is making engineers that are quite used to having complete flexibility, sort of aircraft engineers, working all over Europe. They're worried that that's going to be curtailed. That's probably good for the UK because it'll be easier to get them.
Okay,
let's hope so.
Let's hope so.
So there's that kind of thing going on. There's been recessions, mini recessions, credit crunches, government policy. So certainly under Labour there was a huge expansion in the policing, and then due to credit crunch, that all those things affect. I think another thing that I found has had a huge amount of influence is technology, actually. So people now expect to be able to apply for a job on a telephone, which is fine and good and can be very efficient. However, it does mean that when you're a recruiter, you put a job out there and you don't know where it's gone. So you put a job perhaps on your website, or you've engaged with a particular company to broadcast your job. It gets kind of hoovered up by all sorts of other websites, etc.
I see.
And you don't know what's going on.
Wow.
So that's quite difficult to control. So and also frustrating sometimes for candidates, because they'll put in a job application. They'll think, keep seeing this job advertised, they're clearly not filling it. And then it turns out that's because the job's already been filled. Somebody wasn't particularly awesome. It's just travelling around the internet.
Wow.
So I think that's not helping people very much.
Okay.
Also, social media as well is very useful in recruiting people. And I think certainly a lot of the firefighter recruitment I did at Vector was a lot of it by word of mouth. People said, they're recruiting up the road. There's a great opportunity, go for it. So it does mean, though, that we've sort of denuded one local airport, I think, some of its people. We've also got service leavers and others coming from outside the sort of aerospace industry. And I think as well, actually, with use of social media, you can be quite clever with it. So between what I'm doing now and what I was doing, for with the police, I was also working for a local authority. And it was possible there to use social media quite cannily to help recruit for social workers and that kind of thing. Not at New Forest, no.
Right,
That was, initially I went to work for Capita, who provide services to West Sussex County Council. So I was initially with West Sussex, and then I got tupid across to West Sussex County Council.
Right, okay.
But that was very interesting. And
Wonderful.
so social workers are very into Facebook, so that's how you get to them.
Okay.
If you want to get to, say, other professions, you'd probably go use LinkedIn to try and find people.
I suppose, well, okay.
And somebody like occupational therapists are just not clued up at all. And there's a huge shortage of them.
So I'd like to go back to the part where you mentioned you were headhunted. That's very interesting because you're the third person I've met so far that has been headhunted.
Yes.
Do you think it takes certain requirements to be headhunted by someone else?
I think it probably does. You need to make sure that your presence on any social networking is showing that you are open to offers, suitable offers, and that you use your social media presence and social networking presence wisely. I've certainly had a number of direct approaches to me because I'm looking for work at the moment. I've certainly had approaches from agencies and so on saying, "Oh, this has come up. Is this something you're interested in?"
Right. So this is kind of a process of being headhunted.
Absolutely.
Great. Okay.
But certainly when I was moving from fire service to the police, I wasn't actually actively looking.
No.
It's just that the headhunter thought, we need somebody for the police. Let's scout about and see what we can find out about who's doing recruiting in the fire service. So, and of course there wasn't the benefits of any kind of social media in 2002. So how she got her intelligence, I don't know. Asking questions and listening behind doors, I don't know. Or maybe just literally ringing out her fire and rescue services. Who does your recruitment? So,
So what drives you now? What's your passion? You got this huge background of experience, and you're now helping other organisations to recruit the best of the best. What drives you as a person?
I really want to do a good job of getting the best fit of candidates.
Right.
So that certainly working in the private sector, that the company will not continue to make money and pay my wages unless it's got the right people out there making the money on the shop floor, etc., etc. So it's very important you get a good fit there. Also, I'm very passionate about making sure that candidates get a good experience. So even if you don't want that person now, even if they came second, they might be absolutely brilliant for something else. And I've certainly quite informally over the years thought, I've met a really fab person, wasn't quite right for this job, I'll give them a ring and see what they think about something else I've got coming up. So I've done that. I'm very passionate about that. I'm passionate about having diversity in the workplace, giving people a chance who wouldn't normally have access to an organisation because of actual barriers or perceived barriers as well. So.
Wow, it's amazing. So Valerie, thank you for joining me today. It was a pleasure talking to you and sharing your background and your knowledge in the recruiting firm. And I hope to be able to talk to you again soon.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Welcome.